Okay, so for this video, we will be discussing novation. This is the last mode of extinguishing an obligation, wherein by concept, this is when a part of the obligation will be changed or modified. That's why the old obligation, the original version of the obligation, will now be extinguished by the new obligation. Okay, so under Article 1291, modification or extinguishment of an obligation by another, either by changing the object or the prestation, okay, or we can also change the party in the character of the debtor, or we can also change the creditor. So, if there is a change, may it be on the object or principal condition, on the debtor, or on the creditor, or any of this, okay, then the old obligation, the original version of the obligation, will be extinguished by the new one by means of novation. Okay, so take note that novation has two main functions. First, this is to extinguish the old obligation, the old version of the obligation. Second is to create a new obligation as a substitute of the old obligation that is extinguished. So we have to understand and remember that for novation to take place, okay, we must always see whether or not the following requisites are present. First, there is a previous obligation, okay, and the previous obligation, take note, must be valid. Okay, we'll be learning as we go through that if the old obligation is not valid, there's nothing to novate, there's nothing to substitute. So, in order for novation to be valid, the old obligation must be, or the original obligation must be, of course, valid. Okay, not void. Okay, next, the novation must be agreed upon by the parties. So, it must be agreed upon by the parties, although later on, we will be discussing the so-called legal subrogation. Okay? Sa legal subrogation, yun yung mga pagkakataon na kahit hindi nag-agree yung mga parties, okay, there will be a subrogation. But as a general rule, okay, novation, since there will be a change in either the prestation or in the elements of the obligation, okay, it has to be agreed by the parties, okay? So, yun. That's why, as you can see here, there's an exception that if what has been modified is the debtor or creditor, okay, there are instances wherein some of the parties involved may not consent, okay, may not agree. However, the law still allows subrogation, or the law still allows novation, okay? That is, for example, we're talking about expromission, okay? And yung part naman ng creditor natin, yung subrogation. Okay? Anyways, we'll discuss that in depth as we go through. Okay? So, but generally speaking, it has to be agreed by the parties. Next, as a result thereof, the old obligation will be extinguished. And last one, the substitute must of course be valid. Because one of the provisions that we will tackle as we go through is that in order for novation to be proper, the new obligation must of course be valid, because the substitute, which is the new obligation, must be able to validly substitute the old obligation. So common sense would say that if the new obligation is valid, where is the substitute? Okay, so these are the requisites for novation. Okay, the following are the different kinds of novation. So it's real or objective if the prestation is the one which is modified. It's personal or subjective if we're talking about the modification of either or both of the debtor and the creditor. It is mixed if it's a combination of a modification when it on the part of the prestation and of the parties. It is expressed if it's declared in unequivocal terms by the parties, meaning to say it's clear from all of the parties that there is really a novation. So, under Article 1292, which will be discussed after this slide, okay, there will only be novation. If we're talking about conventional novation if we're talking about the kind of novation that is not legal, okay? Kasi pag novation tayo, meron yung tinatawag na conventional novation at legal novation. Pag conventional novation, ito yung agreed upon by the parties. Okay? Pag legal novation naman, ito yung novation na kahit hindi nag-agree yung mga party, automatic magkakaroon ng novation. Okay? So, pag-express, ibig sabihin, malinaw na napag-usapan na magkakaroon ng change, na magkakaroon ng modification. Okay? Express novation is present when there is an agreement that is in clear and unequivocal terms. Okay? Yun yung wordings ng batas natin. Okay? Now, there is also this so-called implied novation. Okay? Implied novation is when if we will look onto the old obligation and the new obligation that has been agreed upon by the parties, hindi sila pwedeng magsabay. Like for example, the original agreement is to paint the house blue. Okay? But then, there was a text message to paint the house pink. Okay? So, automatically, hindi mo naman pwedeng, or should I say, ganito. Original obligation, paint the house blue, but then after 1 week, nag-text yung may-ari ng bahay, pink na lang. Okay? So, from the term itself, we would understand that the old obligation, the old prestation, which is to paint the house blue, is already extinguished by the new obligation, which is to paint the house pink. Okay? There's also a total novation. So, for example, like that, kung papalitan na ng pink yung blue, total novation yun. Pero pag partial naman, this is when the novation is only on the accidental elements of the contract. For example, may utang, ang interest rate niya ay 5% per month, for example, or 2% per month, tapos papalitan na, gagawin na lang na 1%. So, hindi na change yung utang, hindi na change yung prestation, hindi na change yung debtor, hindi na change yung creditor. Ang na-change lang is parang minor part lang ng usapan. So, if that is the case, we classify that as partial novation. Okay? So, for academic purposes, no, just remember the concept of these different kinds of novation. Okay? Article 1292, sabi dito, in order that an obligation may be extinguished by another which substitutes the same, it is imperative thou that it be so declared in unequivocal terms or that the old and new obligations be on every point incompatible with each other. Ito yung na-discuss ko kanina pagdating sa expressed and implied novation. Okay? If you would look on the book of, I'm not sure if it's Soriano or De Leon, okay, there was an example case there wherein parang yung debtor has to deliver raw materials, is obliged to deliver raw materials to a certain corporation. And in return, the corporation will either pay the debtor, the one who will deliver the raw materials, or deliver finished products, okay, out of that raw material to the debtor. So, debtor magdi-deliver ng raw material yung sa corporation. Yung corporation in return will either pay the debtor or will deliver a finished product out of that raw material to the debtor. So, yun ang usapan nila. Tapos eventually, when the debtor has already delivered raw materials to this corporation refused to pay, okay, raising his defense or raising the defense that they already changed their supplier. Kasi parang naging supplier si debtor, di ba? So, pinalitan na daw nila yung supplier nila kaya hindi na sila magbabayad. Syempre, gulat na gulat naman itong supplier, itong si debtor, di ba? So, meron bang novation doon? Kasi ang sinasabi ni corporation, there is novation. Pero ang sabi naman ni debtor, paano may novation? Hindi ko alam, hindi ako aware. Okay, yung usapan natin, it was not clear and it was not declared in unequivocal terms that there will be a change of supplier. So therefore, there is no novation to speak of because Article 1292 requires that for novation to be proper, it must be so declared in unequivocal terms. Legal basis natin, Article 1292. In short, dapat malinaw sa usapan. Okay? Next, let's have Article 1293 to 1295. Okay? So, punta na tayo sa parties, no? So, dito, there is a substitution of the parties. First, on the character of the debtor. So, take note that if it's the debtor who will be changed okay, or substituted, the creditor must always consent. Okay? The creditor must always consent. So, if it's a change of the debtor, we have two types, expromission and delegation. Expromission, the substitution is initiated by a third person. In delegation, the substitution is initiated by the debtor himself. Madali lang naman tandaan, pag delegation, debtor. Pag expromission, third person. Okay? So, parang sa expromission, bigla na lang may third person na nagbayad ng utang ni debtor nang walang nalalaman yung original debtor. So, yun ang expromission. Pag delegation naman, parang sasabihin ni original debtor na parang, okay, creditor, hindi na ako magbabayad, ito ng kapatid ko. Okay? So, the delegation, it's initiated by the debtor himself. Of course, in expromission, pwedeng the debtor is substituted either with the knowledge of the original debtor or without the knowledge of the original debtor. But in delegation, always may knowledge ang original debtor. Always may consent ang original debtor. Bakit? Siya nga nag-initiate. Okay? In expromission, isa-isahin natin ha. In expromission, the initiative must come from a third person and the new debtor and the creditor must give consent. Yung bagong debtor, yung creditor must agree to the expromission. Okay? Kasi si new debtor, siya na yung magbabayad. Okay? Si creditor always naman required ang consent niya. Okay? Expromission may be done without the consent or knowledge of the old debtor. Okay? But I think you're familiar with this one kasi na-discuss na natin itong part na to. Kasi dyan natin na-discuss last time yung is the third person who paid the obligation of the debtor to the creditor entitled to be reimbursed, or is this third person who paid the obligation of the third person to the creditor also entitled to be subrogated? So, we have learned in the past that if the old creditor agrees, if the old debtor agrees, the new debtor is entitled to be reimbursed and be subrogated. But if the old debtor did not agree on the substitution on the character of him as a debtor, okay, the only right of the new debtor is to be reimbursed. Wala siyang karapatan na mag-subrogation. Okay, this is something we have discussed, if I'm not mistaken, sa payment or performance. Okay, then of course, since mapapalitan yung old debtor, yung original debtor, the original debtor is released. Okay. In delegation naman, sabi natin kanina, the initiative must come from the original debtor. Here, take note that the new debtor, the old debtor, and the creditor must give consent. And also, original debtor is released. Okay? That is the difference between expromission and delegation. Usually, tinatanong to sa board exam. Okay? We have here several questions. Okay? So, first is the new debtor, yung nagbayad, okay, entitled to reimbursement. Obviously, ang sagot natin dyan, yes. Okay? But we'll confirm that as we go through. Okay? Is the new debtor subrogated? Yes or no ang sagot dyan. Diba? Depende sa knowledge. Number 3, in case of insolvency of the new debtor, will the old debtor be liable? Dito sa third person, di ba pinalitan yung old debtor, naging new debtor, tapos biglang hindi nakapagbayad yung new debtor. Pwede bang balikan ni creditor yung old debtor? So this question number 3 is new. Okay? But let's answer first the previous questions. Number 1 and number 2. Is the new debtor entitled to reimbursement and is the new debtor subrogated? We have answered that already. Okay? Yes, the new debtor is entitled to reimbursement in all cases. But when it comes to subrogation, the new debtor is only subrogated to the rights of the creditor if the original debtor agreed on the substitution. Okay? Ito na yung na-discuss natin before pa. Okay? How about the third question? In case of insolvency of the new debtor, will the old debtor be liable? Babalikan ba yung old debtor? Kung ikaw si old debtor, syempre ayaw mo nang mabalikan ka. Pero kung ikaw si creditor, you would want to have someone to go after with since you were not able to collect anymore on the new debtor. Pero syempre, ba't ka kasi, kung ako yung old debtor, ba't ka kasi pumayag, di ba? Creditor, ba't ka pumayag na si new debtor nang magbabayad sa'yo? Okay? That is why the answer to this question is that in case of insolvency of the new debtor, will the old debtor be liable? May the creditor go after the old debtor? Balikan siya. The answer is no. In expromission, okay? In all cases, in expromission, the answer is no. Di ba sa expromission, okay, this is when the substitution of the debtor is initiated by the third person. So, bakit mo pa babalikan si debtor when in fact, hindi naman siya ang nag-initiate at nag-brought up ng substitution? So, wala nang babalikan si creditor. Okay. In delegation, pwede bang balikan? The answer is also no. Okay? So, both in expromission and delegation, you cannot go after the debtor anymore. But in delegation, may konting twist. Okay? Kasi di ba sa delegation, this is when the substitution is initiated by the debtor himself. So, magtaka ka, bakit kaya siya nag-initiate? So, pwedeng may tinatago siya, pwedeng may objective siya. That is why, in delegation, although general rule, the creditor cannot go after the original debtor anymore, but the case would be different. Pwede niyang habulin yung old debtor if yung insolvency pala ni new creditor is already existing and of public knowledge or known to the original debtor when he delegated his debt. So, noong transfer yung pagkakautang from original debtor to the new debtor, okay, insolvent na pala siya. Yung insolvency of public knowledge. Malas lang ni creditor kasi hindi niya alam. Okay? Pero dapat, di ba, alam niya kasi of public knowledge. Or, alam ni debtor, known to the original debtor. So, parang pinahamak niya yung creditor na alam niya naman pala na insolvency new debtor, nagpa-substitute pa siya. So, if these three cases are present, then the creditor can go after again to the original debtor. But that is when we're talking about delegation. Because in expromission, in no case that the creditor can go back again and have the obligation of the original debtor be revived. Okay, so I hope we're clear with that. Okay, that is your articles 1293 to 1295. Okay, so this is because, yung lahat ng in-explain ko, this is because under Article 1294, if the substitution is without the knowledge or against the will of the debtor, the new debtor's insolvency shall not give rise to any of the liability on the part of the old debtor. Since in delegation initiated by the debtor, no revival will happen as a rule, general rule. But that would be different if at the time of substitution, insolvency already existed, and at that time, the debtor has knowledge about it. Ang idagdag mo na lang dito, the insolvency is of public knowledge. Okay? And also under Article 1295, the insolvency of the new creditor shall not revive the action against the original debtor except if the insolvency is already existing of public knowledge or known to the debtor at the time of delegation. So magkahiwalay pala. Yung public knowledge pala nasa Article 1295. Okay? So beware. Okay, of these complexities in Articles 1293, 94, and 95. Next, Article 1296. Okay? This is when there is an accessory obligation. Yung parang anak nung, di ba parang kunwari, utang, may collateral. So, yung principal obligation, yung utang, yung collateral, yun yung accessory obligation. So, what if the principal obligation is changed? There is an innovation in the principal obligation. Anong sinasabi ng batas? When the principal obligation is extinguished in consequence of innovation, the accessory obligation may subsist only insofar as they may benefit third person. So general rule kasi, if the original obligation is changed, the accessory obligation is also changed. Except kung pasok dito, yung sinasabi ng batas na insofar as it may benefit third person who did not give consent. Okay? Anyways, we'll have an example as we go through. Okay? Ito. D borrowed 100,000 from C. The obligation is secured by a mortgage of this lot. Later, it was agreed that D would instead give a ring instead of the 100,000. So, what happens to the mortgage? Okay? Walang third person na involved, di ba? Si D at C lang. So, if the principal obligation is extinguished, the accessory obligation is also extinguished. Tignan nyo lang lagi kung may third person na involved. Okay? Pag wala, automatic extinguish din yung accessory obligation. Okay? Now, so, ano yung mga pagkakataon that accessory obligation is not extinguished? Ito. Tinatanong din ito. Okay? Actually, when I took the bar exam, this was as stipulation per outroe. Okay? So, yun. So, when there is stipulation per outroe, when there is a stipulation that accessory obligation will subsist, and when there is subrogation. Isa-isahin natin. I have here some examples. Okay? Stipulation per outroe, explain ko muna before we go to the example. Stipulation per outroe is then is when there's an agreement that involves third person that stipulates a benefit in favor to a third person. Okay? So there is a stipulation. Ang ibig sabihin ng stipulation per outroe is stipulation in favor of third person. Okay? So example, D borrowed 50,000 from C, bearing interest of 1% per month. But the interest instead of giving it to the creditor, ang napag-usapan ni D at C, bibigay kay third person, kay T. Okay, so nakita nyo, there is a stipulation in favor of T. There is a stipulation for outroe. Now, if it will be agreed that instead of 50,000, D will just give a ring, there is an novation, right? What happens to the 1% accessory obligation? Okay, since it is in favor of third person, it will not be extinguished. Okay, here, the 1% interest must still be given to C since it was stipulated in favor of a third person. Yun yung stipulation for outroe. The only time that this stipulation in favor of T will be extinguished is when T gave consent. But if T, this third person, did not give consent, then this benefit towards a third person, this accessory obligation will not be extinguished. As you can see on the wordings of the law, okay, insofar as they may benefit third person who did not give consent. So si T, nag-give ba siya ng consent? Hindi. Okay? So therefore, the stipulation per outroe, which is the stipulation to pay the 1% interest to T, okay, will not be extinguished. Okay? Even if the original obligation or the principal obligation is extinguished by means of novation. Okay? By means of novation to syempre kung na-extinguish siya by means of payment, loss of dating due, syempre wala na. Okay? Novation lang to sa novation lang ito na hindi ma-extinguish yung accessory obligation. We have learned in the past that the extinguishment of the principal obligation carries with it the extinguishment of the accessory obligation, except when we're talking about Article 1296. Okay? Let me clarify that Next, tatlo yun, no? Yung pangalawa kasi, when there is a stipulation that accessory obligation will subsist. O kapag may stipulation that even if there is a novation on the principal obligation, the accessory obligation will subsist, may stipulation na, hindi ma-extinguish yung accessory obligation. So, wala na akong example dyan sa pangalawa. Ang meron tayong example is when there is subrogation. Okay? Subrogation, you already know this. A third person coming into the eksena, then is this third person going to succeed the credit right of the original creditor plus the accessory right as to guarantor, as to collateral, etc. Okay? So I have here an example. A, who is the debtor, owes B, a creditor, a loan secured by a real estate mortgage. So, debtor, creditor, may mortgage. Okay? C pays B. Sino si C? Umeksena si C. Third person. Binayaran niya ngayon si creditor. C now is subrogated as new creditor. Okay? But take note that C pays B with the knowledge of A. Dagdagan natin with the knowledge of A. Kasi that's the only time that there will be a subrogation, di ba? Kasi kapag walang subrogation, right to be reimbursed lang. So, dagdagan natin yung facts ng example. So, C pays B with the knowledge of A and is subrogated as new creditor. So, now, the principal credit continues in C's favor. Siya na yung bagong creditor. Okay? So, kapag hindi magbayad si A, pwedeng puntahan ni C yung mortgage. Okay? So, eto yung di ba? Napalitan na si A. Okay? Pero buhay pa rin yung accessory obligation. Buhay pa rin yung mortgage. Okay? Are we clear with that? May novation, pero buhay pa rin yung accessory obligation. That is possible under Article 1296 when there is subrogation. Again, do not forget these three instances wherein exception to dun sa general rule that if there is extinguishment, okay, the extinguishment of the principal obligation carries with it the extinguishment of the accessory obligation, except in case of novation under Article 1296. Okay? I hope we're clear with that. Okay, 1297. Okay? What if the new obligation is void? Okay? Ibabalik daw sa old obligation. The old obligation will subsist unless ang usapan naman pala is extinguish din yung old obligation. Okay, this is the effect if the new obligation is void. It is as if the original one is revived or it will remain as it is. Okay, except if it will be found out that the original obligation is also extinguished by the parties. 1298. Old obligation is void. Oh, there's nothing to novate. Okay? But take note ha, that void is different with voidable. Di ba ang voidable natin ay valid until annulled? Okay, so hanggang hindi mo pinapa-annul, valid yung voidable. Okay? So as long as old obligation is not yet annulled, then it may be substituted kasi valid pa lang yon kasi hindi pa na-annul. Or instead of annulling the voidable obligation, nung pinalitan, nag-agree ka naman. So ibig sabihin, nag-ratify ka. Okay, I have here an example. D was forced by C to buy C's dilapidated car for 20,000. And D issued a promissory note. So, na to, no, the obligation to pay 20,000 is voidable because pinilit lang. Okay, there was a force. Okay, this is an example of avoidable obligation. Kasi pag pinilit ka lang, voidable yon. So, ibig sabihin ng voidable, pwede mong i-ratify later on or pwede mo talagang i-push na ipawalang visa. Okay? Ang nangyari, after 1 week, D, sabi niya, voluntary entered into an agreement with C. Hindi na ako magbabayad ng 20,000 sa'yo, iPhone na. E di parang ni-ratify niya, di ba? So here, the novation of the original voidable obligation, which is not yet annulled, is valid. Okay? This act of voluntarily agreeing to deliver an iPhone instead of annulling the original obligation cured the defect in his consent in the original obligation. So parang hindi niya na nareklamo, parang pumayag na siya. So the substitution of the 20,000 to an iPhone is valid. The novation here is valid. Okay, that's under Article 1298. 1299. Okay, ito madali lang din. If the old obligation na papalitan has a condition, kesyo suspensive yan or resolutory, yung new obligation meron din. Unless na pag-usapan na wala na. Pero if the problem is silent, under Article 1299, the new obligation will still be subjected to the condition or the period na meron yung original obligation. Kesyo suspensive or kesyo resolutory. Okay? Next, Article 1300 and 1301, 1302 to 1303. Okay, eto naman. Okay, kanina na-discuss natin yung substitution on the part of the debtor. So, meron tayong expromission at delegasyon. Dito naman sa creditor naman ang papalitan. Okay? So, it can either be agreed upon by the parties, conventional, or legal subrogation. Okay? So, what is subrogation again? It's the substitution of the creditor. So, pwedeng may third person na magbabayad on behalf of the debtor. Okay? So, the new creditor succeeds the right of the old creditor. Okay? And acquires all the rights. Dito na papasok yung rights to go after the guarantor, rights to go after the collateral, after the surety, etc. Kasi nga subrogated ka na. Okay? Hindi ka lang basta may karapatan to ask for reimbursement. Subrogated ka na rin. Okay? Now, example. D obtained a loan of 50,000 from C with G as the guarantor. Later, C assigned the credit to T. Kailangan bang pumayag ni D? Okay? Not necessarily. Okay? Kanina, kapag papalitan ng debtor, always kailangan pumayag ng creditor. Pero dito, kapag papalitan ang creditor, hindi required na pumayag ni debtor. Pero yun nga lang, pag hindi pumayag, walang subrogation. Okay? Pag hindi rin pumayag, may right to set up compensation, yung na-discuss natin before. Okay? So, pumayag naman daw yung lahat ng parties. Okay? So, may subrogation. Here, T can collect from D. If D cannot pay, T can also proceed to G. Kasi nga, pumayag naman si D. There is subrogation. Okay? Now, that's when we're talking about conventional subrogation. Now, how about legal subrogation? Again, to clarify, pag sinasabi nating legal subrogation, ito yung mga pagkakataon na kahit hindi pumayag yung parties, magkakaroon ng subrogation. Okay? Ano yung mga yan? Okay? First, when a creditor pays another creditor who is preferred, even without the knowledge of the debtor, okay, there will be subrogation. Okay? May example tayo later. When a third person not interested in the obligation, yung walang kinalaman, parang out of the blue, pays with the express or tacit approval of the debtor. Ito na yung na-discuss natin dati sa payment. Yung a third person pays the obligation of the debtor on behalf of the debtor to the creditor with the consent of the debtor. So, there will be subrogation. Ito yon. Okay? And the third one, when even without the knowledge of the debtor, a person interested in the fulfillment of the obligation pays without prejudice to the effects of confusion as to the latter's share. Ito yung ang nagbayad sa creditor ng utang ni debtor is yung guarantor. So automatic itong si guarantor, meron siyang right to be subrogated. Okay? Yun. Itong pangalawa at pangatlo na discuss natin before. Okay? So sa una, when a creditor pays another creditor who is preferred. So nakita nyo dito, may isang creditor at may isang creditor na preferred. Dalawa ang creditor dito. Okay? Like for example, D, may utang siya kay creditor 1, 10,000, secured by his lot. D also owes creditor 2, 8,000, unsecured. So between C1, creditor 1, creditor 2, who is preferred? Okay? Tignan natin. C2, sino si C2? Yung creditor 2 ng yung 8,000, yung creditor ng 8,000. Without the knowledge of D, paid C1, 10,000. Okay? In this case, C2 is subrogated in the rights of C1. Kanino na may utang si D? Kung dati may utang siya kay C1 at C2, ngayon may utang na lang siya kay C2 kasi binayaran na ni C2 yung utang ni D kay C1. Okay? So, in this case, since si C2, who is a normal, ordinary creditor, paid a preferred creditor, then C is subrogated. Okay? Ito si C1, yung preferred. Si C2, yung 8,000. So, since C2, who is an ordinary creditor, paid C1, who is a preferred creditor, then C2 is automatically subrogated in the rights of C1. Thus, C2 is now a mortgage creditor for 10,000 and an ordinary creditor for 8,000. Kapag hindi nakabayad si T dun sa 10,000, pwedeng puntahan ni C2 yung collateral niya. Okay, this is when there are two creditors and the ordinary creditor paid the obligation of the debtor to the preferred creditor. Okay, so yan, merong automatic subrogation. Sir, kahit hindi pumayag si D, yes, pwedeng puntahan ni C2 yung collateral ni D. Okay, take note of this scenario. Next, when a third person not interested, pero buti na lang with the approval of the debtor. So ito yung na-discuss natin dati. D obtained a loan of 100,000 from C. The debt is secured by a mortgage of this lot. Later, T paid C with this consent. So T can go after the collateral later on. Then, when even without the knowledge of the debtor, a person interested in the fulfillment of the obligation pays. For example, D owes C 9,000 secured by this phone. In the guarantee of G. G, person interested in the fulfillment kasi siya ay guarantor. Without the knowledge of D, paid C 9,000. G is legally subrogated. G can go after the collateral kung meron. Kaso dito, G can also go after the guarantor. Siya rin yung guarantor. O di magkakaroon din dyan ng confusion or merger of rights on the character of the guarantor. Ito, na-discuss rin natin to. Noong aside from payment or performance, na-discuss din natin ito noong sa confusion or merger of rights. Okay? So that's Article 1301, 1302, 1300, 1301, 1302, 1303. Okay? Then 1304. I think this is the last provision under extinguishment of obligation. Okay? So ano sinasabi sa 1304? Here, a creditor to whom partial payment has been made may exercise his right on the remainder. And he shall be preferred daw siya, to the person who has been subrogated in his place. So, may nangialam, may third person na pumasok sa eksena, di ba? Tapos, biglang nung kulang na yung asset, sino dapat yung unang bayaran? Yung original na creditor. Parang yun ang sinasabi. Okay? So, I have here an example. DOC 10,000. With the consent of D and C, T pays C. So, T is subrogated. Di ba? Kasi with consent. So, T pays C pero partial lang. Kasi ang 1304, partial payment lang. So, instead na bayaran ni T yung buo na 10,000, ang binayaran niya lang 5. So, ngayon, si D, may utang siyang 5,000 na kay T kasi i-reimburse na yung binayaran niya. Tapos, yung original na naiwang utang niya kay C. Okay? In this case, what if ang pera na lang ni D ay 5,000? Kanino niya dapat ibabayad? Okay? It shall be given to C. Okay? Si C, meron siyang preferential rights over T. Si T kasi na-subrogate lang. Okay? Ang original naman talaga na creditor ay si C. So, between C, the original creditor, and T, the one who is merely subrogated, at kapag kulang ang pera, by virtue of Article 1304, the original creditor has a preferential right. Okay? So, that's Article 1304. Okay? So, I bet we're done with obligations.